Hey, are you smoking one of these things right here instead of cigarettes? And maybe during the course of time you're finding that the vape, the liquid, the juice, whatever you want to call it, is getting into your mouth as you're using it, and you're wondering why, and you don't like it because it tastes horrible, right? Okay, I'm going to take this thing right now. I'm going to pull the reservoir off it. This little top part is the reservoir, and as you probably already know, you replace these, and I'll tell you why. That's actually part of the reason you're getting the liquid juice in your mouth. But that's the reservoir. You know about filling it up when it gets low. Here's the body, which contains the circuit board, the charging port, circuit board, mini circuit board, battery, heating element connections which are in there, and at the bottom of this here. So I'm going to take these covers off, throw them over there, both of them. I've had them off before, so they come off pretty easy. I'm going to pull the battery and small circuit board or mini circuit board off here, and that's what we got right here. The only reason I pulled this out was just to show you the battery, because part of the reason that you may be getting smoke, liquid juice in your mouth is because of the battery. So actually we'll just cover that part first right now. The battery obviously is like pretty important because it's the power, it's what runs this whole thing. Then you have the mini circuit board, which is the brains, which controls what happens and when and to what intensity. And then of course you have the muscle end of it, which is the actual fuel, let's call it, or juice that's in here. And this is the muscle end, the engine end. It's the end that does the real work right here. This is what makes it happen. So what can happen with the battery between these two things? I'm not going to explain the whole thing that happens, because I have another video on that, and you can watch the other video, which explains basically how this thing works, this whole thing works completely. So I'm just going to say, if you have a low battery, if you end up with a battery you haven't charged it, or it's going dead, its lifespan is exhausted, where it can no longer be charged completely or well. Either one of those, if it's on its way out or it's not charged, that can cause vape to get into your mouth. And you're wondering, how can that happen? Well, like I said, this is the power. You need the power. The way that happens is inside there, without going into too much detail, like I say, I have another video on that. Inside there, there's that steel tube, we'll call it a chamber, and there's little holes right there. You can see that one, I think, on the camera. There's one there, and there's one on the other side inside of it. In that chamber, there's two holes. Inside the chamber, there's a filament and a heating element. The heating element gets charged through these and heats up, vaporizes the liquid juice that's gone into it. It goes into it through those little holes. I can show you on a different one I have right here. This tube here, as you'll notice, has a much bigger hole. It can actually let a lot more vapor go through there than the other one. Not vapor, fuel or juice to go through and be held in there than that one right there. And on this end, like I said I wasn't going to do this, and here I am half doing it. This is the heating element itself right here. Kind of hard to see. This one's really all messed up. It's really difficult to see. But anyways, that goes in there and ends up vaporizing the fuel or juice that's in there, and then that gets pulled up through the bottom of this right here, which is in there, and comes up through there. So that's what happens. So the battery, like I'm saying, could be one of your problems. The battery's not charged good enough, or it's just not a good battery. And if that's the case, you probably would have to replace this whole unit here. At least that part of it, the bottom part of it. Like I said, the power part of it and the brains. This here is normally replaced often because the heating element is a problem with these. They burn out, and once that happens, you're going to get juice in your mouth. You're going to, because it's still, the juice is still going down in that little hole. It's still going into that chamber, but instead of being vaporized by the heating element, it just remains as fuel. And when you suck up on it, you're sucking that fuel into your mouth. So the main problem probably with getting fluid in your mouth is the heating element has gone bad on you for whatever reasons. They wear out. They only have such a lifespan. They don't last forever. They wear out, and that's why you probably buy a new one of these for that particular reason. But if you're getting fuel in your mouth, you know the heating element. There's an issue with the heating element. It's either you're not giving it enough time for it to vaporize the fuel, or it's incapable of doing it for numerous reasons that I just mentioned. There's one other thing that could happen as this is all getting weaker, because this may not be one single issue, it may be several issues. You may have a weak battery and a filament, heating element that is going bad on you, and a filament too. Even the filaments, they burn out and go bad. So basically, if you're getting juice in your mouth, it's because of one of the reasons. The heating element is probably the prime reason that it's happening. That's burnt out and it can't vaporize anymore. And the secondary reason would probably be because of the power, the battery. The battery is no longer capable of putting out the right voltage to actually heat up hot enough to vaporize the fuel. So your problem is mostly right in here, in this thing, the reservoir, which I know everybody buys for that reason, for the reason that the vape is not working, but that's also the reason that you're getting some liquid in your mouth. And then of course, like I said, the battery is another reason. Now that's excluding everything else that could be wrong with this. It could have a big crack in it. There's numerous things. You get the wrong kind of liquid in it. Maybe even you didn't even put in vape fuel. I don't know. But those are some of the reasons why the thing ends up with juice in your mouth. Consider this your first suspect, and if it just keeps doing it after you've charged, consider this. Well, you should consider the battery first, because you need to charge it up. If it happens, charge it up. Make sure you've got a full charge. And then if it's still doing it, it's this here. It's your reservoir and the heating element and that. In that case, you just take this part and go buy a new one. They actually do sell these separate. They're not afraid to sell you a replacement part because they charge you for it. The other parts, these parts here, I don't think you can just buy those out of the store. Alright, so I hope this helped you a little bit, gave you a little idea of what might be happening with you, and I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. If you got a comment, just post it on here. I'll definitely catch that and get back to you on it. And if you ask me a question I don't know about, I'll find the answer for you.